In this video, I will show you how to put together this Lollipop cake box, which is an SVG file from Simply Crafty SVGs. Okay, I just want to show you the pieces before we start. I actually kind of separated them a little bit. These are taffy. That's the color for American Craft cardstock. These pieces, I just kind of pulled this apart. These are all the lollipops that go on top. So the supports, I call them the supports. And then in here I have the panels on top of it. And then we have the panels for the top of the lid and the lid. So I'm just going to put those aside just for now. So all these are for the lid. Put them in sections here. This is the plate panel that'll go on the plate. So these are the pieces for the plate, the taffy, and then the actual box. So you can make this without this. This is just that bottom piece, which is the cake plate. So if you just wanted to make the actual box, you could do that. So let me go ahead and put that aside. So we'll start on this. So this is super easy to put together. So just go ahead and fold it on the score lines like so. I am using American Craft textured cardstock. And the glue I'm using today is Barely Art. I also do like art glitter glue. But I use a variety of glues. But the Barely Art and art glitter glue are my most common ones. So for this is like the basic, probably the basic part of this whole project. I think I should have kept this easier piece until the end, but let's go ahead and do that. And then we're going to do the little lollipops. So we're going to line this up like this. So this edge right up to the tab fold, gluing the tab inside. I mean, you can go ahead and just flip it over and fold it over after we put the glue on this tab. Just fold it over like that. So it should line up pretty good. If you need to like toggle it into place, you can. So this will be the box portion and of the project, to put a little small gift. So because we're going to glue it onto the base, we're going to put this on the inside. But I guess my suggestion to you is if you do use it without the base, the plate, you probably want to cut an extra one of these and put one inside and one on the bottom to cover the tabs. So we'll just go ahead and add glue to this and place it in. And I did make sure that the texture side was up. Then I'll go ahead and I'm just pushing in on the sides to make sure that this edge is lined it up to the inside tab fold. And just apply pressure against the desk. So now that we've got that done, I'm just going to put that aside. And we'll go ahead and put these together. So when it comes to the lollipops, first of all, I have some comments on what to use. So I would say that make sure you use a thicker cardstock for these pieces, because when they fold back, they get kind of wobbly. I played around with the size and the height. So there's two of each size that kind of go opposite of each other. But what I want to say is that if you get too flimsy of this and there's too much weight up here, it's going to kind of move. So this one So like there, if you put it, once we glue it on, it'll be moving a little bit. I made them short enough. This one short enough, and that's the one that will move. But we don't want it toppling. So I have played around. I'm using American Craft cardstock. I'm going to show you. But what I would recommend, if you use a lighter cardstock, it will help it not wobble as much. So just to give you an idea. But I did still use American Craft cardstock. So you'll see that we have a couple different just rounds. So we have that. And the reason I did white, I could omit it because one of them's going to be, I'll show you how they're going to go. One of them will be like this on both sides. So we'll get them prepped so you can see them. The big one will be, let's get these prepped. So the little ones will have, so there'll be one with this on both sides, one with this on both sides, and then one with this. If you don't want to put all three colors, basically it'll be like that. It's going to line up, and I'll show you how it lines up when I put it together. So basically that on both sides of this larger one, but these are the same size. So the reason I gave you the white panels, even though if you make this white, you do not need to really use this panel. But the reason I kept it was just in case you wanted to change a color. So if you don't need them, then just discard them. But that's the reasoning for having these two extras. So you might want a different color based on the cake color theme. So let me get this centered. Let's do the big one first. So first, you'll notice there's a little cut line here. That's our score line. And I did it that way so there's less of a cut or score in it. So it's on both sides. So it would be a little stronger when we glue it onto the box. So right now, you don't want to glue beyond this mark, so I'm just going to kind of fold it back lightly. I don't want to really fold it too many times because I want to maintain the strength. So right there, just fold back. You'll notice I folded it towards me like that. And then you want to glue them together. So this is true with all three of them. So I'll show you this one and then probably we'll speed up through the rest of them. But you'll see I added glue up to that little score line. So now I want to get it good and matched up. Don't delay too quickly. I was delaying while I was talking and my glue was drying. So line it up. So this is your lollipop stick. It's a little fatter so it can hold itself up. I tried different sizes, lengths, that kind of thing. So now I have the purple as my background. So I'm going to do this on both sides. But this is how it lines up. Specifically this one. The smaller ones are easier because there's only one swirly. So there's two swirlies on this. So really you want the one with more swirls next and the one with the least on the top. So this fine tip applicator is going to come in handy, or if you don't have something like this, you can always brush on glue or brush it with your fingertips. But if you do brush it with your fingertips, I'd say make sure you clean them. A lot of people can get allergic reactions to glue too, so just be careful with that. So I'm going to line this up. So I lined it up at the bottom first, lightly placed it, and then I'm just going to apply pressure now that I know it's in place. So this is just the trickiest part. This is going to sit like this. So you want to line up that little piece right there. And then the outside. So it's going to look kind of funny at one point, but I wanted this, you don't want to line it up here, okay? So it's going to line up here. You can see how it lines up right there. And then it'll line up around the edge. So that's what you want to focus on. I wanted it to look kind of random. So when I say you could use your finger, you can do something like this. So it doesn't spread and leak over the others. You could also use vinyl. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to go sideways so I can see it better. Go ahead and place it down like that. And then the rest of it. So it should just line up pretty much here, and you'll have this little purple pink section right there, which looks kind of wrong. And I was going to change it, but I kind of like it. Kind of, it's just like trying to get more of a look of a lollipop you can with 3 colors of cardstock. So we'll do the same on the other side. So I'm going to do this one a little quicker so you can watch me one more time if you... Like I said, the rest will be easier as we just have one swirled panel on a solid. So I'm just really careful with the glue because you really don't want to get it everywhere. So I kind of start at the... So it's random too. You can put it whichever way. It doesn't have to be a specific way. If you want them to be the same way, just make sure you put it on the same way as on the other side. I think it doesn't make that much of a difference. So it's getting heavier with each of these. So this is the one that it still holds it up, you can see, but it'll be a little bit flimsy. So we'll go ahead and place this. So I think this is the hardest part in my opinion. Oops. Let's go ahead and do it while it's down there. I just wanted to get glue on my hands. Or you could use little dots too. Just different ways of putting little amounts of glue. So let's go ahead and line it up. You don't want to just drop it, because if you drop it, the glue will get everywhere. Okay, so that's one lollipop down. We just want to get these done so we could focus on the construction, the rest of the construction. I like to get the fine details down first. So that's that. So it can get flimsy, so that's why I said be careful. This will get a little heavy. So I'm going to put it in this bowl. And we'll go ahead and do the other ones. Again, just really quick, there's a little score line there, so I'm just kind of pull it back. Pull it back at that score line. Don't fold it really sharp because we need it to be strong still. Make sure you have the correct one to match up. And glue them together. And we'll do that with the last one too. And you can, let's see, I'm just lining those up. Just make sure you don't glue those 2 tabs together because we need it to fold back, because that will be glued onto the lid. So you can put these on before if you want and then glue them on, so that's up to you. So I'm going to go ahead and finish that. Finish this last one and then put these together. You can watch me finish those. And then we'll go on to the next step. Okay, so now we have these all set to go, so we'll put them aside with the box here, and we'll work on the lid. So we have these pieces just to identify them. These will be the panels for the top. I thought we were missing one, but we're not. So we have these four, and then this, and then this will be the panel that we put the lollipops in. So I'm going to put those aside because those go on last, or after we put this together. So you want to go ahead and fold these like this. So you want to pre-fold them. So if you need to get out your bone folder, just make sure you have nice sharp folds, especially if you're using like a Cricut that uses like a score wheel or score tool. They just don't, it doesn't score very well. So I'm going to go ahead and finish those, and then we'll move on to putting it together. So now I have them all folded. We'll start putting them together. I felt the easiest way to put it together in myself is you could start from the top and go down. But we're going to start at this long tab right here. So take one of them. They're all the same size. It's a square. We're going to go ahead and add tab to this, glue to the side tab, not the tab to the glue, right? I'm going to line this edge up right to the tab fold, so you can see that. We don't want to go over it, we want to go right to it. Let me get it good and secure there. And then, this is why the bends here, and pre-bending it and pre-folding it, this will help us put it together, because we're going to go like this. So we want to go in order from where we just started. So you might have to, it might take just a little bit of practice, but we're going to go one by one. So you want to go ahead and line this up. So this is almost straight, it just has a slight curve. But you want to get that in place. And then we go ahead and I'm going to push that down. Go to the next one. And I'm just holding it in place. Because of the curve, it could pull apart when we do the next one. And then lightly get that lined up. That. As you can see, this is what it looks like on the inside. I know this tab looks funny, but the angle, it makes it go straight on with that angle. So we'll continue doing the same thing. So we'll do it again. The first one was easier to get flat, but right here, once we attach this, so we're just going to line it up. Line it up like that. You could flip it upside down to apply more pressure before moving on. So we'll go ahead and do the same, continue putting it together. I like to get pretty good coverage up to the fold. I'm just going to push them in a little bit, those two, so when I'm gluing the first one, it doesn't attach to the second one by accident. So I'm just lifting, I'm reaching in, pushing on that tab on the inside as I line that up. You want to make sure it's lined up. You can use your fingertips to know whether this is kind of jutting up or not. After you do a lot of these, it becomes second nature, and you can pretty much gauge where things are without doing that. But every once in a while with a real circular one, I have to do that to double check myself, because it's not as simple. Like some of the ones like I guess example, it would be something like the Easter egg, the 3D Easter egg. So anything circular or has a curve, it's just paying attention to how you glue those tabs. So if you're new to this, it just takes practice. Of course, if you're not new to it, you probably have forwarded through this section already. Unless you're watching as I go, because I'm pretty slow crafter. So just lining it up, flipping it over. So I'm just reaching in. I know you're getting a. I'm reaching in to add glue to those tabs, those last remaining tabs. This is one of those videos I'm kind of playing around with some lighting, so hopefully, I never know until after the fact of whether it's really great, but I may have a little bit of a glare. I'm working on it. Lots of test videos. You get a new setup and then had some changes. And that causes problems with the videos. Because really, I'm not a video photographer. I'm not that. That was not my first. All this is self-taught, so it's definitely struggle. I don't have a room that can have a lot of equipment in it, so it's kind of a minimal recording area. I don't think you need a lot to do it anyways. It's just a matter of I do the best I can. I just want to make sure you can see what I'm doing. Hopefully it gets better over time. That's always my I get something new and then I try something new and then don't always succeed at it. So I'm going to push those down. So when you go to close it, it gets a little bit more challenging, but it's still the same process. It's just going to pull a little bit when we do those top tabs. So I'm trying to really get this bottom one lined up. And the reason I start at the bottom just because it's a bigger tab to glue. And secondarily, I can line it up really well right here. So I'm going to put that down there and get some pressure so I don't pull on that tab. So you can reach in if you, I'm just going to hold right there because I don't want it to pull apart. But you can go ahead and reach in. Add glue to those tabs. So again, I'm just kind of pushing the top ones down so it gives me a second so I don't accidentally glue it in the wrong place. So you might have to flip it around to get it in the right position for you. I'm really right-handed, so let me get that back around. Oops. So I'm getting that second one glued. Third one. One of the reasons I have this box even designed this way is so you can reach in just for those tabs. I had it designed a little bit different that seemed easier, but when it comes to these tabs, it wasn't easier. So I had to go this route. So I've decided anything with curves has to be done this way. That's just the way it is. Trying to make it easier for everybody, but I thought it was just way too difficult. So now we're going to put this last panel inside. It's going to give us the shape we want before we put those top panels on. Kind of gives it structure too, and it's going to hide those tabs. So when we put the top panel on, the lollipops will be attached to it, and we don't want to see those tabs. So it'll clean it up. So in here, I'm going to go ahead and place that in there. I'm going to push gently from the side. It may not match up entirely You do your best to get it on because of the gaps as you put it together. This will complete the structure. I'm also going to, I'm not going to show it here, but there's optional inside panels. If you don't want to see these tabs, then I will, in the extra stuff folder, you can cut out a set, any color you want, to put inside to cover. It's slightly smaller, but you'll want to match it up here and just place it in there to hide those tabs. I'm not too concerned about it myself. But I want that option to be available for those that want that. So that's it. Now we're going to go to the next step of putting on those pattern paper panels. So now I would highly suggest that you kind of curl your panels that way. So I'll show you two different methods. So first we want to fold this tab at the top. So there's a tab at the top. And then you can do it with your hands. And if you want to do it on the edge of the table, you can too, but you could do it like this. Kind of burnishing it a bit. Curling it. You want it curled at the top more so the bottom. Just give you an idea. Or this is also really good, and I'll just finish this one out. You could do this on the edge of the table, like I said. Just be careful about folding it. See, like that. So we'll do this last one. So it only curls at the top, so it just helps to get it ready. And hides those folds too. So there's two different kinds of panels. So if I line these up, if they match, you'll see that that doesn't match. So get the two together that match. We're just going to alternate them. So I'm going to go that one, and then that one, that one. So this will do after that. So you want to take the first one. So I'm taking the one from the left. I'm going to go ahead and add glue to this tab. So I'm going to line it up on the left, kind of in the center really. So I'm going to get it as center as possible. Flip it over and apply pressure in there. Once you get that attached, I'm just going to go a little bit with these curves and glue at the top. Not so much at the, you don't have to do the whole thing. So I'm going to carefully do this. I'm trying to get these lined up with the edges down there. Right here. So that'll line us up for the rest of them. I don't know if you noticed too, I inked this a little bit on the edge with Distress ink to give it, to have it be a little bit noticeable when it's against the white. More noticeable. So now we want to alternate. So we already started with that one. We'll do the second one. And then we'll do the other two. So again, get it lined up. So this fold should be lined up with the fold right here. Get it centered as possible. And if you got that first one in place, this should just angle. This should fit right here. You should be able to angle it. Right there, it's a 45-degree angle. Whoops. I'm going to just go a little bit to the left. Okay, flip it over. So I would do that every single time. So that is our anchor, how we're anchoring this. So again, I'm just going to add glue, not on the other side, to the edge here. And I'm going to go towards the top. If you have glue on the bottom, it's going to hold it. So now I'm going to line this up, and you can see that corner, how it lines up there. Pulling it down. So we'll go ahead and add the other two. So again, the left now. So if you wanted to check, just go and check the previous one. See, it doesn't match, so that's the change. So there we go. If you do like this project, I always ask if you could give me a little thumbs up when you can on the video, and or subscribe to our channel if you have not already done so. And if you hit that little notification bell to the right of subscribe, you'll be notified when we have new projects like this and tutorials and such on YouTube. So I'm going to go ahead and finish the last two here. And then we'll go on to making the plate. Okay, so we can't finish this yet. We have got to put the lollipops on. So I would say this is probably the most challenging part in a way, other than putting those big lollipops. And the reason is we'll have to connect these to this, and then we will have to apply pressure to put the panel on. So I would suggest that you use something, at least a cardstock on this top. This is printed cardstock. But you want something a little heavy duty, not just like a really thin paper, because we have to glue this to the back. So looking at it, just make sure I have this right. We have the one that's in the center is the big one. So get it situated so we have these little cut lines. So the center one should be in the back. What's going to be deemed the back of the box. And we're going to do that last because I don't want to be messing around with it. It's going to go like this. This one's the back one. And really this is interchangeable. You could go like that and then this. But we're going to go like this. So it's going to angle away, if you can see that. Like that. So you can see that's how we're going to put them in. So because this can get flimsy if it gets folded incorrectly or too many times, we're going to put that one on last. We'll put the small one on first. So that's the back one, the right one, and the left one. So we're going to go ahead and just slide the tabs through. Add glue to these tabs. And we're going to fold them where they fold, just like that. So remember, when you put the second one on, it needs to be angling to the right. So it's a little bit taller. Going to put that through. I'm kind of just holding it like that with my finger before I get the glue on the tabs. Try not to get glue beyond that line there. And now I'm just going to gently fold them back to glue on the bottom again. That. So as we fold them, it starts compromising, you know, and it's easily folded. So that's why I want to be careful not to like push them at this point, because we don't want them going flat. We want them tall. I tried adding a different layer in between, and it actually just made it too heavy. So I decided I just played around with the sizes until I felt like they were secure with using textured cardstock. So if you use something like Michael's Recollection or 65-pound cardstock, it probably will be not, I mean, it won't be as heavy. So that one, I'm just being really careful. So that's the one that will flip backwards. So you just want, I'm just getting my finger, you see where I have my top finger? One that has some cuticle issues. And then fold it up. So you can see it is heavy, so be careful. It'll hold up. That was probably the most significant challenge of the box, of making the box and designing it. So I might ink at the little edges here with that little darker ink. So I'm going to do that really quick, and then we'll put that top piece on. So I'm just using this little finger brush. And just carefully, I don't want too much, I'm just trying to offset the white that's showing through a little bit. It's the same color I used on the bottom edges. And that's all I'm doing. I'm doing it right now because you don't want to do a whole lot of manipulating in the box once you get those these on. But I want to choose the right side, or the side. We're going to determine which one is the front of the box. So I'm going to go ahead and look at it and see which one I like the best. And I think I'll just pick that. They're all pretty equal. We're just going to glue it onto the top here. When I say we're just going to glue it on the top, this is where it's a little bit challenging, okay? So you want to be really careful. We're just going to go ahead and add glue to this portion. Okay, this is not the cleanest job. And we're going to be careful how we place this. So you just want to carefully, don't push any of the lollipops out of whack. Let's get it lined up into its area. I have a little excess glue here, so I'll just make sure. Get it centered as best you can. And you just want to rub the areas around it to get it secured. So you can see they kind of wobble. I'll put it up in a minute. I don't like to put it sideways too much. But as it comes off, it's kind of fun because they do kind of wobble. But you don't want it to wobble too much because they'll just fall down. So that's my biggest thing with this box. So now, there's the actual box. So now we're going to make the plate that goes underneath it. So now we have the pieces for the plate. So I'm going to show you how to fold these. Actually, there's not much folding except for the tabs on these. So I'll tell you about that. And then this is the panel that'll go on top. And then, most importantly, there are 3 of these. So one, you'll notice on the edge, if you can see it, there's cut marks. So there's cut marks on 2 of these. Okay, so you want to make sure you know which ones are which. This one will go on the top. So we'll put it with the plate, the plate panel. So that'll go on the top. And we'll talk about, there's cut marks in this too. And that's just to place the box, if you can see the right in the corner. So again, let me get a closer look again. You can see the cut marks right there. They're on each corner, and that's going to help us line up to put this in accurately. So you'll see in just a moment. So we want this to be rounded. So we're just going to round it. Just want to gently burnish it. You do not want to fold those, so do not fold it. You'll see a little cut line. That cut line is just going to show us how to put these two together and line it up. We want it to be as round as possible. So we're going to do that. And we will be folding down these side tabs. So you could go ahead and we'll just do one set first. One side. And we could glue it together first, but I'm just going to just pre-fold them. I had glue on my fingertips. So here, let's go ahead and the reason I'm doing it before I fold it, because obviously the tabs will get in the way. So it's not like really critical you get too much, but when we get to these corners, be nice to have just a little bit of a fold. So we're going to go ahead and glue these together. So take one side. You want to add glue to the left of this cut line. So there's a little cut line. Again, don't fold it. We want it to be as smooth as possible. And we're going to line up this edge. I'm just going to fold this top one. Pre-fold it so we can see. Make sure it gives us a visual of how to line it up. We're going to line this edge up right to that cut line. And you can be a little bit to the left of it. Just as long as you're not over it, because we don't want it to be too small to be able to fit these panels in. I'm just going to line that up. So I'm going to flip it over. Make sure it's straight as possible. So before we glue the other side, let's go ahead and get all these folded. So I just push against, what's easy with these is just to push it against the table and then fold up. And if you do need to use a bone folder to get a nice crisp edge, that's always a good idea. I'm doing it on the other side too to get it prepped. We will have to pull them back to get them out of the way. But I didn't fold those. So now that everything is folded, we want to glue this together right here. And you can see it's created those rounded edges. So we're not going to fold, again, do not fold this. Just put glue up to the cut line. Then we'll line it up on this side. There we go. Okay, now that we have that in place, this is where these little cut lines come into play. So I'm going to actually pen them in a little bit, and this is for the inside one. The other one you might not want to do, but so you're aware of where they are. So you can do this for the first one. I wouldn't do it for the second one because it will be visible in the bottom, but there's a reason why I still kept it, and I'll explain when I put the bottom piece on. So you can see it well enough, but I want you to see it in the video. So this is the inside. I'm going to place it in. So the other side of this will be the the top. So this makes it, why I do this is so it's easy to get the shape without just having to figure out how to get it on top. I mean, I just don't, this helps to do that. So we're going to add glue to this big curve here. I mean, not curve, big tab. Get the right word. So there we go. So these cut lines, we want to put the tab in between those two cut lines. So this is the whole purpose for it, so we get it in the correct place. So when we line it up, should pull those back first. It just helps to line it up. So that's what I'm doing right now, is I'm going to make sure that those go right where the big tab is. It's not completely necessary, but it does help. So you can see the cut lines on the other side too. But really that's the only reason for it. You shouldn't really need it for the rest of it, but still have them just in case. So now I'm going to go on the other side, flip it over, add glue to these little corners. And then flip them down. I just want one side on well first. And then the rest should go lickety split. So I'm pushing in right here, making sure that I push in so those inside folds are meeting that curve. Because we don't want to have a problem down the line here. So if you want, you can add glue to the rest of the tabs. I'm not that fast of doing things, and I don't want it to dry on me. So I tend to do, I'll probably just do 2 big tabs in the corners. You don't want it drying on you when you're in the process of doing this. And the beauty about the first one is if I have a little glue that shows on the top or on the bottom, it's not going to make a difference because I'm going to cover the other side of this. So I'm going to flip those all in that I put glue on, and that one. So I only have one big long edge. So we want to start where we ended as we push down gently. Let me get it because I have a little. I'm going to push around and just keep on going down. Push around in that corner, make sure it bends. And I have one more right there, so I have to make sure that I get those adhered. And I had this pop up for whatever reason. So I just have one more edge to go. I was fixing that one that popped up a little bit. During the explaining it, my glue had dried. So the last one. So I'm pulling it in just to line it up. So that's how you put the inside in. So what that makes it way easier to do is to have a nice clean close on the top. So on the bottom, these cut lines are even more important because we can't go inside. This is like a good cheater way to do it because it gets it nice and shaped the way we want, so we have a nice curved look that we want. So I'm going to go ahead and add the top piece. So I did mention that if you wanted to do this project, you could do it without this plate. That's what I'm calling this. Or platform, whatever you want to call it, but I call it a plate. A little square plate. You could do it without this and just do the first part. Just flipping those in so I don't distort them. Getting glue off my fingertips. So this is the top right here. So the one, we're going to still keep the one with the cut lines and take the one that doesn't have cut lines and cover all these tabs. So anyways, you can do the project. I'm just getting it lined up without it. But it's kind of cute with it. And the reason I mention that is if you want to make it smaller, the actual box, you could do that. I made it to fit together. And it was just I know it was a larger size, but I thought it was just kind of a fun project to do a larger size. So this, when you're putting that top one on, I really want to get to the edges really well. And I like to use my fingertips when I can, because it just, if I can reach in easily, I can get to the edges easier. But to get a really crisp edge. So if I have it lifting up here slightly, I'm going to put a little glue in there. Didn't mean to get that. And it's actually leaking out there. And what was a cute idea is once we get this together, you could put, I'm going to try to see, and I'm going to put something on the edge. I think it's too thin for washi tape. But I didn't want to put a panel on it. But I thought it would be fun with rhinestones or pearls or something like that. Some kind of embellishment like that. A good excuse to use something like that. So now we want to put this last one on. So I'm going to add glue to one tab to anchor it first. So this, if you can see, I'm using the cut lines to make sure they line up. And I can see the edge of the fold of the tab on this side. So it's a little bit helpful. It's not all like critical, but this is the bottom. So remember when you do this that the bottom is the one with the cut lines. You do it the way I explained. So this is coming apart just a little bit. So let me get that. That's where I glued at one of the tabs. So we want to push these down, but not all the way down because you want them to adhere. So they need to be able to grab the glue. So they just need to be up just a little bit. But that one needed a little bit of TLC there. So for this step, it's pretty critical to do the glue all at once. So I'm not fast, but just make sure you put enough glue coverage for it to adhere. We'll go back to the beginning. The very first tabs after I finish these. Because we're just going to fold it over. Not yet though. Theoretically, you could put it all around the edge of this and the edge of this piece instead of doing the individual tabs like I'm doing. But I like to get the coverage on the tabs. So this one needed a little bit more help. So now I'm going to fold it carefully. Trying to line it up. So I'll just go from this side. Once you get it in place. So you see I'm kind of bowing it in a little bit here. Pushing it in. Rotate it so I can see it better. So you don't want to push down that hard because it'll collapse. I mean, you could put something like craft foam inside. I didn't do that for structure because it's actually strong enough. It's just this part that gets a little bit difficult to apply pressure. But if you want to put something like pieces of craft foam to build it up to give it some thickness, you can. Some people do that. So I'm going to flip it over and apply a little bit more pressure this way. And then all I have to do is attach the little panel, plate panel, and then the box. So we'll go ahead and I'm going to center this. Might as well dot everything. This is just a fun little gift box, a fun gift box. Then I'll center it. And I didn't want you to have to figure out exactly where the box goes. Remember, the cut line should be at the bottom. But the cut lines on this will help you place the actual box. So we'll go ahead and it'll line up. You want to line it up there. So to me, I'm going to put glue on the bottom of this, but I'm going inwards just a little bit to give me wiggle room. Because if I put it too close to the edge, then I have to get it in place with those cut lines. It's a possibility that, well, high probability with me is that I'll get glue where it doesn't go and you'll be able to see it. So we don't want that to happen. It's square, so you don't have to worry about that. So I'm just going to line it up on this side first. So I kind of placed them towards the corners there. Just make sure I can't see any of the cut lines. And then lightly apply pressure. So I'm going to use my bone folder here rather than me with my thick, heavy fingertips. So you want to make sure that's good and secure before you move on. So you want to take the time. So here's the box on there. And you can see it's nice and secure. And we're just going to go ahead and put this on. And there it is. It's the Lollipop cake box. I hope some of you enjoyed this project. And I thank you so much for watching.